Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. My name is Agnes van Rijn. I'm a life and business success mentor to female entrepreneurs and small business owners who want to build a success but on their own terms. I help them with mindset, strategies, systems and tools so that they can start working on their business and no longer in it. Today at the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show, it is my privilege to be interviewing Jo Gifford. Jo is a recovering overwhelmed entrepreneur with an addiction to making things easier. She's a champion of working smarter and a creator of the Brilliance Ignition Process. She has had a loyal global audience and a stellar client list of biz owners making big sales and a big difference. Her background as a seasoned blogger, copywriter, podcaster, and graphic designer with an MA, and research interest in creative thinking for small business makes for an eclectic and colorful killer content approach. Welcome to the Woman Makes Things Happen, Jo. How are you?
Hi, Agnes. I'm good, thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a delight. I'm so delighted to see you again. We were just talking before about, it's been quite a while. Good to have you. Good to have you. And you're definitely the type of guest that I love to have on the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. I think you're quite a story as well. So tell us more, because I know your story, but listeners don't. So tell us more about you.
Okay, well, so what I do now is I'm an online entrepreneur, and I work with small businesses to really help them sort of get their message out to the world through content creation. And I walk through sort of creative thinking with them and, how to actually create the content and get it done in a really smart working way. And my approach is all about, working smarter because of my story. And we always bring our stories to our business.
Absolutely.
So, as my bio sort of said, I was a graphic designer and a copywriter and blogger and mum of two young twins now. They're 7 years old at the moment, but I'm also a mum. And alongside motherhood and running my business, I also have dealt and deal with some fairly serious health issues. So I've learned in my 10 years of being self-employed, I've been in the online space really with this for probably the last 3 or 4, to adjust and really adapt and to create my own version of success. And so really, one part of those things would, certainly be enough to make you want to adapt. So running a business with young children, and, for me, my health issues have been chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and sort of, chronic pain on a sort of ongoing basis, and all the stuff that's associated with that. I view myself as a well person whose health kind of ebbs and flows. I don't feel stuck in a health story, but it has certainly shaped how I live and run my business.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's very much ebb and flow. Eh? It's
very, very much. And in fact, I'm sure we can share that we were supposed to speak, last week to record this, and I had to email you and to say, Agnes, I can't today. I'm, really struggling, and that kind of stuff I have to build into my business all the time.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you're not the only one. So that's quite an interesting story. So, what type of, coping mechanisms have you put in place? Because I really love the way you are approaching your business, the whole making things smarter.
Yeah. Well, I actually ran a webinar on this last week, and it wasn't anything that had a pitch to it or any kind of end game. I literally, I felt inspired to sort of speak about this. So this is very fresh, kind of off the press in my own head as well. But there are several things that I have put in place. The first one is boundaries, which I would advise anybody with a business anyway to be yes, to be clear on your boundaries. Sort of when people can sort of contact you, how how you want to be dealing with your clients and any external requests and emails, and the times you are happy to work and the days you're happy to work, and to set really clear boundaries around your space so that your time to either be working on your client work, on your sort of business stuff, or to have you time is really clearly defined. And then I would say to set really clear kind of expectations with your clients and with your audience and with anyone who comes into contact with your business, so that that space is really well looked after, because as business grows, there can be more demands on our energy and on our time. So boundaries, I would say, is the first sort of mechanism that I have in place. And a really simple thing like having a kind of a sort of Gmail responder, which tells people really clearly, like that I check my my kind of inbox once a day. If there's anything super urgent, then you can email Tara, my assistant, and some really frequently asked questions, kind of worded in a fun friendly way, but it's like, hey, I'm not going to be straight on this. It just helps people to manage their expectations. Other than that, I've pretty much built my business around working one-to-many, because whilst I still do very few one-to-one sort of client work, I work a lot better with flexibility, so that I can produce content for courses and for kind of online workshops, and then be flexible around my downtime, if I need to be mindful of energy, if I need to have some creative time, if I need to be with family, that's built in. So I work best if I have a kind of 80-20 balance between one-to-many and one-to-one. And that was a learning curve for me, which I'm sure other people would have their learning curve as the balance. Yes, using tech to do the heavy lifting for you is is brilliant. So we sort of mentioned one there, so having a really simple Gmail responder just to cover your bases and let people know, and also to really have things like your sort of social media scheduling happening in a kind of automated way, to set up as many systems as you can using tech that is already there, to save your time and conversely save your energy. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you're definitely the queen of automating everything that can be automated.
Anything that can be automated, Anya, I'm there.
Yeah, and
if it can have a hack.
I think that is an aspect that specifically young entrepreneurs, when I say young in entrepreneurship, quite often forget, is that they come from the angle, I cannot delegate. You may not be able to be in a position to delegate yet, but however, there's a lot that you could have automated.
That's such a brilliant point. It's so true. And in fact, last week I kind of emailed my list with a really short story of the way that I recorded my sort of most recent blog post on my mobile phone while driving to Tesco's.
Talking about optimizing your time.
Exactly. And I just kind of shared this story because it wasn't classy. I wasn't in a sort of poolside LA with a cocktail. It's real life. I was driving to get some bits for tea for my children before the school run. Had to get this blog post finished, and so I just kind of shared how I recorded this, then had it sort of dictated and transcribed for something like $3, and then it was back to me. I could edit it and it's done. And people love to hear that there's little workarounds like this, and they kind of go, oh, that's brilliant, I'm going to try this. And
I never thought of it.
It's exactly different. So it's just so helpful. And so even if you can't, if you're not in a space yet to start to kind of outsource, absolutely look at ways that you can improve some systems to sort of take away those extra bits of time for you. But then if you are ready to start to outsource, there's something that I use called fancyhands.com, who are just brilliant. And it's like having a whole team of sort of VAs on hand for you, really inexpensively, for tasks like kind of extra phone calls. Have you got to rearrange, an appointment? Have you got to sort of do some research on something? You can have that running in the background, without having like a contract for a new VA or something like that. So finding ways to start to offload tasks for your time, I think, it suits us really well, whether or not we've got issues, and so I think it's kind of really interesting that this started off being the way that I have to work, because naturally I'm a kind of, like most entrepreneurs, I'm sure, I'm a kind of overachiever. Everything has to be done, and I have to do it, and I'm not working hard enough unless I've done it all myself.
Of course.
All of those stories. And being forced to really look at how I spend my time, like, really forced me to kind of think, right, how can I get creative around this? How can I get super smart about this stuff? And, work in a way that honors my life and the way that I want to live, and to be able to have conversations like this, and to be able to get my children from school and to have a picnic with them later on, and then, work in a way that's great for me. So certainly using tech for heavy lifting, starting to outsource when you can. And a big piece for me has been content creation, and seeing firsthand how creating content and having that work hard for you is a constant sort of client mechanism, really, that they'll just kind of find you, whether it's on a podcast or a blog post or a social media thing or a Facebook ad, and setting up an experience, whether it's a funnel or nurture sequence, whatever you feel happy calling it, and knowing that that's working while I'm sleeping
in the background.
It's just perfect. And so whether or not I'm having a duvet day or one of the children is home from school, because all this stuff is reality, knowing that that my videos that I've created, that my course that I've created, that stuff is out there working for me, is just brilliant. That's that's gold dust.
So definitely a lot of valuable tips in there.
Thank you.
So no, definitely. That's something that I've always admired with you, and I start using it as well. Good news. Good news. So if you look back at your journey, you've already given us a lot of tips, but let's now not look at it from the angle of the challenges and the tips to go with it, but from the angle of the successes. What is it that you're most proud of today?
Oh, now this makes me really happy, because I love conversations about success, and it's never, the same for everybody, is it? And for me right now, my definition of success is being able to either get up in the morning or not, depending on the day, to be the mum, and be with my children, to walk them to school, to meet them for lunch, to do all that stuff, to be able to work remotely and flexibly, to be able to contribute in a meaningful way to my family financially, and to be able to have a big impact in our world. But, wider than that, to have an impact in the way that other people run their businesses. And when I have emails, say, oh, Joe, thank you so much, I've really had an insight on such and such, or you shared that story or that tip and it really inspired me. I'm so honoured that I literally get moved to tears pretty much on a daily basis. I'm a real softie, by having connections with people, so just like this. And I think that as entrepreneurs, because we're very much on a self-development path, aren't we? We're very much about kind of inner work as much as it is about the business. And to see myself evolving all the time and changing to be the best possible version of myself, and the impact that has in my world and the greater world, that to me is success. And yes, the money comes with it, and even that ebbs and flows. So I wouldn't say that I validate myself as being successful if I reach a certain amount and then I'm a failure, unless it's that. No, I'm really happy with the with the money that comes in, and I know that I can do much more with it. But for me, this the success is very much on a personal level, and the happiness that is derived really from being able to see changes in my family and in the world that I'm involved with.
I love it. Really a woman, how do you say that in English? A woman to my heart or something like that? I don't remember.
A woman after my own heart.
That's the one I mean. I'm all about role modeling. I'm all about the ripple effect, how we impact the people around us, because in turn that will mean that they will impact positively the people around them. And so and success, I have it in my brand name. I say success on your own terms, but that's why I always say whatever that means to you, because from one person to the other, it won't be the same. And yeah, you're also right. Yes, money is useful, but
Of course,
it's just
absolutely.
an end to me. Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, would I be any more of a valid person if I told everyone that I was earning 7 figures rather than 6 figures or less? No. I really think that, I understand that the stretch to become the person who earns that amount is part of the journey. And, I'm honoured that we do have, this wonderful kind of online space where we can work, one to many, where we can leverage income, where we can have influence, and I have all those things, and I'm absolutely honoured. But nothing beats the pleasure of, having conversations with people, sharing, my story, inspiring them, and seeing the sales come in when you're woken up in the morning, knowing that your stuff is out there working for you. Brilliant, and the best thing is it doesn't feel like work. It never, ever feels like work.
That's amazing. I have the same. Sometimes I'm just thinking, and yes, isn't it time you go to work? In fact, I just do that all the time.
We're at work and it doesn't
like it. Yeah.
I know, it's beautiful. And, for my children to know that they're kind of asking me, so my daughters are kind of, so what do you do, mummy? Like, and how do you earn money? Because they're aware that I earn money in some way, but they just kind of see that I walk around with a laptop and occasionally go and do stuff, and they don't really know. And so to be able to open them up to the, into the concept that you don't have to leave the house and go to work at 9 a.m. and come back at 5, that there's different ways of doing it, that, they know that I speak to people through the computer and they're not quite sure how that converts to money, but
that must be an interesting concept.
So it's lovely to be able to introduce that self-development and mindset to them as well, to help them as young women know that whatever they want to be possible is possible. And, certainly when I was a teenager, it's very much about, well, you're either creative or you're sporty or you're kind of, academic. And if you're creative, which I was, it was like, well, you either teach it or you go and do art. There was no kind of, what really lights you up? What would you love to do? And actually looking back, I've now managed to bring in all the things which do light me up. So the creative thinking piece of it, the, sort of connectivity with people, the, all the elements of writing and design and teaching, all the parts of my portfolio career up until here, now happily sort of co-work together in this space that I've carved out. And, so I do think that you can bring your multi-passionate.
Oh, absolutely.
To a space, and it's the way that that you show up and add your spin to things, and having total autonomy to be able to sort of pivot at any point in time and say, actually, I'm going to do this now, and or I'm going to try this and put this out to the world and just test what happens. Wonderful.
And you give me a beautiful transition, because there's so much stuff that you're doing that you can add value for people with. Give us a few examples of the type of things that they can find with you.
Sure. Well, my most recent offering is called the Killer Content Academy, which has only been live and online for, as we speak now, for about 3 or 4 months. Not even that, probably 3 months. And this is my site, which is really building into the home for learning about sort of how to learn to create content from where you are. Because my viewpoint on it is, content creation can be really overwhelming for, really tiny businesses and for, solopreneurs. And so I give really helpful, kind of insightful, tips and tricks and products to start from where you are and to work in a way that works for you. Then I've got something called the Brilliance Ignition Process, which is kind of like a framework which I walk people through how to bring creative thinking into their daily lives as entrepreneurs, how to use that to harness ideas, how to find some clarity and some space, and just how to spark that brilliance within yourself, feel really confident in it, and then take your message out into the world. So currently, the Killer Content Academy is in its infancy, and I have a couple of projects on there and a VIP working day, but we're sort of building up to have a larger kind of all-encompassing academy, and making the transition to I sort of noticed that and noticed that that was a need, and to validate it and to bring it into life in the last few months again is sort of testament to the fact that you can just kind of roll with where you need to be next.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bring it out. Yeah.
So in any event, it's all about content. It's all about creativity, and making it work for you, and how you can decline it then in your own type of business.
Absolutely. And we all create content differently, whether some people love to kind of talk like this, or some people love to sit and write and fathom it all out, or some people are much better with visuals. And so learning how to start in a place that feels really natural to you is part of it. Learning how to realize what your clients and customers are already asking, so you can really give exciting and really compelling content to answer that. But then also learning how to work smarter even within that. So one of my things that I'm really keen on is to show people how they can create one piece of content and work really far with that, so that you aren't constantly on this kind of hamster wheel of creating more stuff,
reinventing the life all the time.
Oh gosh, yeah, that you can have a really strong message and create a really compelling piece and make that go further for you by creating visuals from it, by creating audio from it, by pulling out quotes. And so once people have that moment of aha, I've already had conversations which I can turn into content that is already happening, it's like a sort of breath of fresh air, really.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I can imagine. And so because I'm just thinking loud here as to who this can benefit, because obviously this is for online businesses.
Yeah.
But is it in any sector? Or is there...
No, not at all. I'm very much just about the sort of tiny business owners. So whether you're kind of online or offline, and creating content is a really key part of finding your customers and keeping them. So there's no particular sort of sector that I work with. I don't have an ICA in terms of it's going to be women between this age and this age. I'm from the school of thought that I have a personal brand, and people that resonate with that will be attracted to the way that I work. So it's very much I do have lots of kind of sort of online business owners in my kind of audience, but also lots of bricks and mortar business owners.
So you do work with them as well?
I do work with both. Yeah, absolutely.
Fascinating. Always encompassing in everything you do the work smarter bit.
Always the work smarter. And my tagline is work smarter, dream bigger, live brighter. And because for me you need to be able to find that space to be creative, to be able to have those ideas, to be able to still enjoy what you do and have passion for your business. And so finding the time and space to enable that to happen, because I'm sure we all know kind of entrepreneurs who've left the corporate world and the treadmill and created their own treadmill.
Oh yes, I have a blog post on LinkedIn about that. Yeah,
I'm sure. So and we see it all the time, and often that's a really self-driven thing that we kind of need to validate ourselves by being super busy. We can always find more reasons to be part of the noise and to be plugged into everything, but actually if you can find that space, not only does creative thinking allow you to sort of find some new ideas to kind of be leaders in something as opposed to following the sheep. But it will also really help you be super powerful in your message and to know how to get it out to the world.
What I really love with what you do and how you address everything is that it's so aligned with that notion that I have of success on your own terms. And what makes it so, a lot of people have this very hard time of balancing life and business. The tagline of my business is rule your life and your business, don't let your business rule you and your life, which is coming back to that hamster wheel. But the very clear thing that we hear in what you're saying is that you are very clear about what your priorities are. It has been shaped, of course, by circumstances. However, I mean, it's your health, it is your family, And you let, and so that leads us back to the boundaries you were talking about at the beginning.
It does.
And you let nothing interfere. You let nothing come in between.
Well,
that.
I wouldn't say that I'm always perfect, Tanya.
No, of course not.
And it's good to have a support team of people who know us really well as entrepreneurs, you know, be it family, friends, you know, mastermind buddies. And as soon as I start to go off kilter, they'll be like, Jo, you've quite clearly overstepped your own boundary, or you've let this happen and you said you weren't going to. And, you know, they will call me on my own stuff. And so it's really good to have those in place and to share them for, you know, be it sort of your team or your partner or whatever. And you know, I'm surrounded by a wonderful bunch of people who will say, well, this is why you're feeling off. It's because you said that you weren't going to do any more X, Y, Z, and you've let that come in. Oh, yes. So we, you know, even with those things in place as an entrepreneur, especially solopreneurs working by yourself, it can be, you know, quite hard to stick to your own. So it certainly helps to be able to share what your needs are and share what, you know, what your boundaries are. But yes, certainly, you know, I check in on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and I have, you know, my yearly goals, my 90-day goals, my, you know, monthly goals and weekly goals. And so I'm always checking in. Is this how I want to be spending my time? Is this the best use of it? Because otherwise it can feel extremely overwhelming, and we're excited about our businesses and we want to do lots of stuff, but then burnout ensues, which absolutely not help anybody.
Yeah, and it's good that you remind us that you're not perfect in that. And I was going to say, welcome to being a human being.
Oh, totally.
And I've been through that myself. I mean, a few weeks ago, I had reached that point where I was exhausted, and I was starting doing things where I thought, wait a moment, there is a problem here. Something has to change. Again, coming back to the fact that when you're passionate about what you're doing and that what you do doesn't feel like work, it's very easy also to glide into going too far. And I had it again a few weeks ago. I was just on the verge of a burnout, probably.
Yes.
Which leads us to also the importance of connecting to our body and recognizing the signs, seeing that,
self-care. Oh my goodness, self-care. In fact, on Friday, you know, this last Friday, I sort of usually keep Fridays as a flexible day to either catch up with client work, to do my own stuff, or to have self-care. And I knew I was starting to feel that kind of, I'm tired, I'm getting really cranky. So I was like, I'm calling duvet day on this one. And I just literally, I kind of, you know, had a nice bath, did my nails, just relaxed and read, you know, non-personal development books, you know, just really just went off grid, you know, without my children at home for a while, and, you know, reset myself to be able to come back to my business and my life, you know, more fully present. And dropping the guilt around looking after yourself, I think could be quite a journey. Because we do that, don't we?
No, of course. And when it was even, I think it was 2 months ago that I suddenly became very sick. Sick, like, you know, having a very bad cold, but I really was in a bad shape, and it lasted for quite a long time. And I think that for the very first time of my life, probably, I decided to just go with the flow and decided not to feel guilty about every single day passing by, being on the sofa, not being able to work, and not feeling guilty about the fact, oh my God, how am I going to do, you know, whatever else I had to do. And that's really key. I mean, I just admitted that my body was sending me a sign. But it's, that is also definitely ebb and flow. It's coming and going. And
oh gosh. And I think, you know, especially with women, I think, you know, we do have a kind of intuition, you know, I don't know, perhaps more naturally than guys, I don't know, but to be able to use that intuition and to say, right, I need to look after myself in this way, you know, what does my body, mind and soul need right now in order to, you know, not only for your business, but for your life. And, you know, but because most of us as entrepreneurs, our businesses are so part of our lives, they're so part of, you know, our very DNA, that, you know, you just need to listen to it, notice it, realize what you need, and make adjustments. And and do that from a place of power rather than, you know, feeling the need to be very, you know, like apologetic for it, or all of that stuff. It is as it is. You need to look after yourself. You need to, you know, because if you're not, then who the heck is?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jo, being conscious of time, we could go on for quite a long time, but unfortunately we have to stop. Before I do so, can you tell us where people can find you?
I'd be delighted to, and yes. So if you come to killercontentacademy.com, you'll find me on there. On Twitter @DexDiva, and you'll find the links either to come to my sort of free challenges and Facebook group, etc. And I'd be delighted to welcome everybody from Agnes's show. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much for being there. So for the listeners and viewers, I say listeners and viewers because I have the audio and the video version of this interview. If you too want to reorganize your life around a success that is the one that you will have chosen, so that it works hand in hand with your life, you can come to www.agnesvanrijn.com. That is ANYESVANRHIJN.com to book your complimentary discovery consultation with me, so that you can find out how I could help you do so. Jo, thank you again, and see you at the other side. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.